The rage boiled inside me as I faced my cheating wife. I can't believe you did this again. After I forgave you the first time, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. Betrayal ripped through my chest like a jagged knife. She stood there, arms crossed, a defiant look on her face that made me want to punch the wall. Oh, please, Zach, don't act so high and mighty. Our marriage has been over for a long time, and you know it. That doesn't give you the right to go screw someone else behind my back. I'm your husband. For Christ's sake, the words tore from my throat in a raw shout. She rolled her eyes. Husband? You haven't been much of a husband lately. Always working, never home. What did you expect? I jabbed a finger at her. I worked my ass off to provide for this family. For you, you ungrateful, I cut myself off, too angry to even find the words. Hurt and humiliation warred with the fury swirling inside me. Well, maybe I need more than just a paycheck her cold eyes bored into me. Maybe I need a man who actually pays attention to me. I paid attention to you. I loved you, and this is how you repay me. By jumping into bed with the first guy who looks your way. Do our vows mean nothing to you? She huffed out a harsh laugh. Vows, what a joke. You haven't kept your vows in a long time either. Buster, my brows furrowed. What the hell are you talking about? I've never cheated on you. There's more than one way to break vows. Zach. She shook her head, almost sadly. You checked out of this marriage long ago. I'm done living with a shell of man. I need a real relationship. My mind flashed back to that awful day a few months ago when I first discovered Emily's infidelity. I had come home early from work, eager to surprise her with dinner reservations at our favorite restaurant. She had forgotten her purse in my office that morning after stopping by. As I walked into my office to grab the purse, her phone buzzed with a new text message. I didn't mean to snoop, but something compelled me to take a peek. Call it husbandly intuition. I clicked on the notification and felt my blood run cold as I read the words on the screen. It was from someone named Chris. Definitely not a name I recognized. Last night was amazing, babe. Can't wait to see you again soon. Same hotel as always. Love you. Love you. Last night? Hotel? The words swam before my eyes as the reality sank in like a lead weight in my chest. Emily was cheating on me. My wife, my soulmate, the woman I had pledged my life to, was having an affair behind my back. I heard the front door open, signaling Emily's return from her shopping trip. Hands shaking, I stuffed the phone back into her purse and strode out to the living room to confront her. Print out of the damning text in hand. She paled when she saw the paper, eyes going wide. Zach, I can explain. Explain? Explain what, exactly? How my wife is screwing around on me. How you've been lying to my face this whole time. I was shouting, but I didn't care. Tears streamed down her face. It was a mistake, I swear. It only happened once. It meant nothing. You have to believe me. I laughed, a harsh, broken sound, once. Then why is this asshole talking about meeting you at the usual hotel? Don't you dare lie to me again. She reached for me, but I wrenched away. Don't touch me. You disgust me. How could you do this to me, to us? I loved you and you threw it all away. Zach, please. Just let me. No, I cut her off coldly. There's nothing you can say. We're done. I stared at her, my whole body trembling with barely suppressed rage and anguish. Neglected? You felt neglected, so you jumped into another man's bed? Multiple times from the looks of it. That's your excuse. Emily sobbed. Mascara streaking down her face. You're never here, Zach. Always working late. Going on business trips. We barely spend any time together anymore. I was lonely. Chris, he made me feel wanted again. Desired. I scoffed in disbelief. And you think I'm not lonely too? That I don't miss you every second we're apart. But I would never betray you like this. I made a vow to you, Emily, forsaking all others. Apparently that meant nothing to you. She reached for my hand again tentatively. Zach, please. It was a mistake, the biggest mistake of my life. I never meant to hurt you. I love you so much, you have to know that. I looked at her hand on mine and felt nothing but revulsion. I yanked my hand away as if her touch burned me. Love, you don't destroy someone you claim to love like this. You don't lie and sneak around behind their back. If you really loved me, you would have talked to me, told me how you were feeling. We could have worked it out together. But instead, you ran into the arms of another man. I'm sorry, she whispered brokenly. I'm so sorry. It will never happen again, I swear to you. We can get past this, go to counseling. I'll do anything you need me to do to fix this. I shook my head, fighting back the angry tears stinging my eyes. It's too late. You broke us. Shattered the trust, and now I don't even know who you are anymore. Maybe I never did. Emily crumpled onto the couch, shoulders shaking with the force of her cries. Part of me wanted to go to her, to wrap her in my arms like I always had when she was upset. But a larger part, the part she had fractured with her betrayal, held me back. I couldn't comfort her. Not now. Maybe not ever again. I stared at the beige walls of the therapist's office, the monotonous ticking of the clock, grating on my already frayed nerves. Emily sat beside me, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. We'd been coming here for weeks now at her insistence, trying to work through our issues, as she put it, but every session just seemed to peel back the layers of hurt and anger festering inside me. Dr. Andrews leaned forward, her eyes full of empathy that I couldn't bring myself to accept. Zach, Emily has expressed remorse for her actions and a strong desire to rebuild trust. What are your thoughts on taking steps forward together? I barked out a harsh laugh. Steps forward.
Right.
As if a few therapy sessions can magically erase the fact that my wife spent months screwing another man behind my back. Emily flinched at my harsh tone, but I couldn't bring myself to care. The pain was still too raw, the wound too fresh. I turned to face her, my jaw clenched tight. You sit there and cry and say you're sorry, that you'll do anything to fix this. But I can't even look at you without picturing you in his arms. In his bed. You didn't just break my trust, Emily. You annihilated it. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she met my gaze head on. I know Zach. I know I destroyed something precious. Something I can never get back. But I'm trying, I'm fighting for us. For you. Doesn't that count for something? I scrubbed a hand down my face tiredly. I don't know. I don't know if I can get past this. If I can ever trust you again the way I did before. Dr. Andrews interjected softly. Rebuilding trust takes time and commitment from both partners. It's not an easy road, but it is possible if you both want it enough. I looked over at Emily, at the pleading and love shining from her red-rimmed eyes. I'd loved this woman for over a decade. She'd been my whole world. Could I really throw that all away? Did I even have a choice? I'm trying, I'm here, aren't I? But I need more time. She nodded, reaching over to tentatively link her fingers with mine. For once, I didn't pull away. I know, honey. I'll wait as long as it takes. You're worth fighting for. I pulled open the door to Emily's office building. A bag of takeout from our favorite deli clutched in my hand. Surprising her with lunch was a small gesture. But I was really trying to move past her betrayal, to rebuild some semblance of the life we once had. The elevator ride to the 10th floor felt interminable, my stomach twisting with each passing floor. As I stepped out, the generic pop music assaulted my ears, mingling with the chatter of office workers bustling about. I navigated the familiar maze of cubicles, my heart lifting at the thought of seeing Emily's face light up when I walked in. But as I rounded the corner to her office, I froze, the bag slipping from my suddenly numb fingers. Emily was locked in a passionate embrace with a man I didn't recognize, their bodies entwined as they kissed with a fervor that made bile rise in my throat. A strangled noise escaped me, and they jerked apart, Emily's eyes widening in horror as she saw me standing there. Zach. It's not what it looks like, I swear. Save it, I spat, anger and hurt warring in my chest until I thought I might combust from the force of it. I can't believe I was stupid enough to trust you again. To think you actually meant all that bullshit about wanting to fix things. Hot tears pricked at the back of my eyes, but I blinked them away furiously. I wouldn't let her see me break. Not again. Emily reached for me desperately, but I wrenched away from her touch as if burned. Zach, please just let me explain. A harsh laugh ripped from my throat. Explain? What is there to explain? You're screwing around on me again after all your promises and pleas for another chance. I'm done, Emily. I'm fucking done. I turned on my heel, ignoring her choked sobs behind me as I stormed out. The ring on my left hand suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. What a goddamn joke. Our whole marriage had been nothing but a lie. I stabbed at the elevator button, my whole body vibrating with barely suppressed rage and anguish. I couldn't believe I'd let myself hope, even for a second, that we could salvage something from the wreckage she'd left behind. Never again. Emily had shattered my ability to trust, to love. Something inside me had broken irreparably, and no amount of pleading or promises could ever put those pieces back together. The fury propelled me out of that wretched office building and into my car. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, struggling to steady my ragged breathing. How could she do this to me again? After all her tearful apologies, all her fervent vows to change, betrayal hardened into icy resolve. I wouldn't be made a fool of again. This time I'd make damn sure the world knew exactly what kind of woman Emily really was. Over the next few weeks, I became a man possessed. I followed Emily's every move, feeling like a spy in my own life, as I tracked her comings and goings with a single-minded focus that both terrified and thrilled me. I tailed her to clandestine lunches with her lover, stomach roiling as I watched them trade heated glances over plates of pasta. At night, I sat in my car outside seedy motels, snapping pictures as they stumbled inside, hands groping with drunken desperation. Bit by sordid bit, I gathered the evidence of her dalliances, each grainy photo and hastily scribbled note fueling the inferno raging in my gut. The woman I had pledged my life to was nothing more than a common whore, peddling her affections to any man who showed her the slightest bit of attention. My own wife, now reduced to a stranger. Had I ever really known her at all? Had any of it been real? The questions haunted me as I pored over the damning chronicles of her affairs night after sleepless night. I couldn't eat, couldn't think beyond the blackened void steadily consuming me from the inside out, the chilly night air bit at my skin as I watched Emily saunter into the dimly lit bar, her arm linked with his. She tossed her head back in laughter at something he said, her long hair cascading down her back like a rippling curtain. I sat frozen in my car, fighting the urge to burst in there and drag her out by that lustrous hair she was always so proud of. But I needed to see this through. I needed irrefutable proof of her betrayal. So I waited. 10 minutes. 20. An eternity. As I pictured them inside, bodies pressed close, her fingers raking through his hair, the way they used to mine. The burn of bile rose in my throat and I swallowed hard. I used to think Emily and I had something special, something unbreakable. What a fool I'd been. Blind to the signs that now glared obvious, the late nights at the office, the secretive phone calls, the wafts of unfamiliar cologne clinging to her clothes. My eyes bored into the bar's entrance, willing them to emerge. Let me catch them in the act. Give me the vindication I craved to finally blow Emily's sordid charade wide open. But with each passing minute, the gravity of it all crashed down on me. My wife, my life partner, throwing away our marriage, our future for a few nights of soulless passion. The pain of it threatened to cleave me in two. I squeezed my eyes shut against the sting of tears. No, I wouldn't break. Not here, not now. I needed to stay strong, resolute. Emily had made her bed, and now it was time for her to lie in it. As if on cue, the bar door flew open and they stumbled out. Emily giggling and hanging off his arm. Showtime. My hand shaking only slightly, I raised my camera and started snapping. Click, click, capturing every damning touch, every longing glance. I lowered the camera. The damning evidence of Emily's betrayal forever burned into pixels. I had all I needed now, weeks of tracking her movements, of swallowing back the agony to document every sordid detail of her affair. It was time to put my plan into motion. That night, I barely slept a wink, my mind whirring. I rose at dawn and robotically went through my morning routine shower, shave, coffee. Emily padded into the kitchen, yawning, acting for all the world like the dutiful wife. I fought back a sneer. Morning honey, she cooed, pecking my cheek. Her lips felt like poison against my skin. You're up early? I schooled my features into a mask of calm. Big day today. That conference I told you about, remember? Oh, right. In Chicago, was it? She poured herself a cup of coffee, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. Last-minute change of plans. I'll be gone a full week, the lies rolled easily off my tongue. Emily just nodded absently, already scrolling through her phone, probably sexting her lover boy. I bit the inside of my cheek until I tasted blood. I busied myself packing, meticulously folding shirts and slacks. Tucked discreetly inside my suitcase were the printed photos from last night, the secret recording devices, the GPS trackers, all the instruments of Emily's downfall. She was on her second cup of coffee by the time I lugged my suitcase to the front door. I paused for a beat, drinking in the sight of our house, our life together, or what I had stupidly thought was a life together. All a farce. A facade that Emily had ripped to shreds. Well, I'm off, I said stiffly, not trusting myself with more words. Emily glanced up briefly from her phone. Have a good trip, babe. I'll miss you. She flashed me a distracted smile. I just grunted in response and walked out, my heart jackhammering against my ribs. As I threw my suitcase in the trunk, a grim smile tugged at my mouth. Oh, she would miss me all right. She had no idea what I had in store. I slid into the driver's seat and peeled out of the driveway without a backward glance. It was time to burn Emily's whole duplicitous world down, and I would be the one lighting the match. I sat in my dimly lit hotel room, eyes glued to the bank of monitors before me, a perverse voyeur to my own life's unraveling. The hidden cameras I had meticulously installed throughout our bedroom captured every sickening angle as Emily let her lover inside, giggling drunkenly, my fingers clenched into fists as they tumbled onto the bed, Emily's bed, our bed. They pawed at each other, frantically, clothes flying. I tasted bile as Emily fished out the bottle of lube from the nightstand drawer of the very bottle I had tampered with, its contents laced with capsaicin, the wicked compound that gave chili peppers their burning bite. She slathered the mixture over her lover, and he hissed in anticipation, oblivious to the trap I had laid, the payload of pain about to hit. I leaned forward, eyes narrowed, as he entered her roughly. For a split second, I almost looked away, the sight of another man defiling my wife too much to bear. But then it began. Emily yelped, her face screwing up in confusion. Her lover grunted, his rhythm faltering. What the hell, he gasped, sweat beading his brow. The capsaicin unleashed its fury, the burn no doubt building to an unbearable crescendo. Emily twisted away, hand flying between her legs. "Oh God, it's on fire," she wailed. Her idiot lover just stared in horrified bewilderment as angry red welts bloomed across his inflamed skin. They both leapt from the bed, dancing obscene jigs of agony. Emily dashed madly for the bathroom, her paramour crawling after her, both desperate to douse the inferno I had ignited in their loins. I watched their pathetic display, teeth bared in sadistic glee. How fitting that the source of their debased pleasure now brought them to their knees, reduced to whimpering, blistered wretches. The acrid scent of my own revenge singed my nostrils, as intoxicating and satisfying as I had always imagined. But even as they writhed, I knew this was only the beginning. I had so many delicious torments planned, each more devastating than the last. By the time I was done, Emily would rue the day she ever betrayed me. I would scorch her life beyond recognition and laugh as I watched her burn. I stepped into the bedroom, the sharp stench of capsaicin still hanging in the air. Emily and her boy toy huddled on the floor, flesh bearing the angry red streaks of my handiwork. She looked up at me, eyes wide with shock and dawning horror. "Zach, what are you doing here?" Her voice quavered. I loomed over them, a dark smile playing across my lips. "Surprise, darling. Thought I'd drop by and see how my loving wife spends her evenings." Her mouth opened and closed like a landed fish, struggling for words that wouldn't come. I barely spared a glance at the naked bastard next to her. He was just one in a parade of many. I crouched down, getting right in her face. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out? That I was just some blind fool you could cuckold again and again?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Zach, please, I can explain." "Oh, I've had enough of your explanations," I snarled. "All the late nights at work, the weekend business trips, I knew what you were doing. I just wanted to catch you red-handed. Or should I say red-cocked?" I threw a disgusted sneer at her sniveling companion. Emily reached for me, pleading. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I slapped her hand away. Fucking him in our bed didn't mean anything? Defiling the home we built together, she recoiled as if I'd struck her. I'm so sorry. You're only sorry you got caught," I stood, towering over their pathetic, huddled forms. "You brought this on yourself, Emily, you and all your little boy toys, and now you're going to pay." Emily's pathetic whimpers echoed in the room, each one a dagger to my heart. She begged, she pleaded, but the words fell on deaf ears. The images of her writhing in ecstasy with another man were seared into my brain. A cruel slideshow of betrayal and deceit playing on loop. "Zach, please," her voice was hoarse, broken. "I'll do anything. I'll change." I let out a bitter laugh. "Change? You've been saying that for years, Emily." Yet here we are, I gestured to the tangled mess of limbs on the floor. "You haven't changed. You won't change." Her eyes, bloodshot and tired, met mine. "But I love you, Zach. I've always loved you." I felt something inside me snap. "Love," I roared. "You don't know the first thing about love. Love is respect, it's trust, it's loyalty. You spat on all of those, Emily. You've made a mockery of our marriage." She flinched at my words, but I couldn't stop. I was a broken dam, years of hurt and anger gushing forth. "Did you ever think about me, Emily? About how I'd feel finding out about your little escapades? About the fact that I wasn't enough for you?" Tears streamed down her face, but she said nothing. What could she say? There was no justification for what she'd done. I took a deep breath, fighting to regain control. "I can't trust you, Emily. I can't look at you without seeing you with him. With all of them. I can't be with you." The words hung in the air, heavy and final. I could see the realization dawning in her eyes, the knowledge that she'd lost me, that she destroyed the one good thing in her life with her selfishness and greed. But I was done with the lies, the hurt, the constant wondering. I was free. Free from the shackles of a loveless, broken marriage, free to start over, to find someone who would love me, respect me, be loyal to me. I turned on my heel, leaving Emily and her boy toy to their misery. I didn't look back. I didn't hesitate. I was done with that chapter of my life. It was time to start a new one. I steadied myself, forcing the anger down. This wasn't the time for heated words or rash decisions. This was the end, and I needed to make it clear. Emily, I said, my voice firm despite the turmoil inside, it's over. We're done. Her eyes widened, fresh tears spilling over. No, Zach, please. We can work this out. I can change, I swear it. I shook my head. You've had your chances, Em, too many to count. And each time you've proven that your desires, your needs come before a marriage. Before me, I could see her mind working, desperately searching for the right words. The magic phrase that would erase the past and make everything okay. But there was none. The damage was done. The trust shattered beyond repair. I need time, Emily. Time to heal. To find myself again. To learn how to trust. How to love. After what you've done, my voice was softer now, tinged with the pain I couldn't quite hide. She reached for me, but I stepped back. If you want any hope of me even considering taking you back, you need to confess. Thanks to everyone. Our families, our friends, the world, they need to know what you've done. Emily blanched, the color draining from her face. Zach, I can't. You know I can't. It would ruin me. A humorless smile tugged at my lips. And what about me, Em? What about what your actions have done to me? To us, I sighed, suddenly feeling the weight of it all. Those are my terms. Confess and give me the space I need. Or don't and lose me forever. The choice is yours. I turned, walking towards the door. Each step was heavy, weighted with the finality of my decision. But beneath the pain, beneath the hurt, there was a glimmer of something else. Hope, perhaps. Hope for a future without lies, without betrayal. A future where I could love and be loved wholly and completely. As I reached for the door handle, I heard Emily's voice, small and broken. Zach, I paused but didn't turn. Goodbye, Emily. And with that, I walked out. Out of the room, out of the house, out of the life we had shared. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. I was free. And somehow, someway I would find my way again. I stared at the screen, Emily's tear-streaked face filling the frame. Her confession spilled out, each word a twist of the knife in my gut. The affairs, the lies, the betrayal all laid bare for the world to see. But as much as it hurt, I couldn't deny the flicker of satisfaction beneath the pain. She had done it. She had done it. She had done it. She had actually confessed, just as I had demanded. A part of me had doubted she would go through with it, that her pride and fear would win out over her desperation to win me back. I wondered what she expected now. A grand gesture of forgiveness? A tearful reunion? No, it was too late for that. Too much had been broken. Too much trust shattered. I heard a knock at the door, stirring me from my thoughts. I closed the laptop, steeling myself. I knew who it would be. I opened the door to find Emily standing there, eyes red and puffy, but alight with a fragile hope. Zach, I did it. I confessed, just like you asked. Can we talk now, please? I stepped aside, letting her in. She moved past me, her perfume, her scent. Once so alluring, now cloying in my nostrils. I saw the video, I set my voice flat. She nodded, twisting her hands. I meant every word, Zach. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up, but I'm ready to do whatever it takes to make this right. To make us right. I sighed, rubbing a hand over my face. Emily, I appreciate the confession. I know it couldn't have been easy, but I moved to the table, picking up the envelope that had been waiting there. It doesn't change anything. Her brow furrowed. What do you mean? I thought this was what you wanted. I held out the envelope. I want a divorce. Emily. The words hung in the air, heavy and final. She stared at the envelope as if it might bite her. No, Zach, please. We can fix this. I love you. I love you too. EM, or at least I loved a woman I thought you were. I pressed the envelope into her hands. But that woman doesn't exist. Maybe she never did. And I can't. I won't live a lie anymore. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she clutched the envelope to her chest. Zach, I'm sorry, Emily. But us, it's over. I turned away. Unable to bear the sight of her crumpling face, the sound of her sobs followed me as I walked to the bedroom, each one a painful reminder of what had been lost. Of what could never be again. The divorce proceedings dragged on, each day a new battle, a new wound. Emily fought me at every turn, desperate to cling to the tatters of our marriage. But with each revelation, each piece of evidence, the truth became undeniable. Her affairs were laid bare in court, a sordid trail of betrayal. The late nights, the mysterious trips, the whispered phone calls, all nagged at me. That I had tried to ignore or explain away, now brought to light. I sat through it all numb and hollow, as the life we had built together was systematically dismantled. The home we had shared, the future we had planned, all of it crumbling to dust. Emily alternated between tears and fury, pleading with me one moment, raging at me the next. She accused me of being heartless, of throwing away everything we had over a few mistakes. But they weren't mistakes. Not really, they were choices, decisions she had made over and over again. Each one a betrayal. In the end, the judge saw through her lies and manipulations. The divorce was finalized. The papers signed with a heavy finality. I walked out of the courthouse alone, the weight of my wedding ring no longer on my finger. It was over. Really, truly over. I knew I should have felt something: relief, sadness, anger. But I just felt empty, drained of all emotion, like I had nothing left to give. I stepped out into the sunny day, squinting against the brightness. The world looked the same, but everything had changed. I was a divorced man now, my marriage nothing more than a painful memory. I didn't know what the future held. But I knew I had to find a way to move on, to build a new life from the ashes of the old one. It wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. I took a deep breath, letting it out slowly, one step at a time, one day at a time. That was all I could do. All I had to do. I started walking, leaving the courthouse and my married life behind me. Towards what? I didn't know. But it had to be better than what I was leaving behind. It just had to be.